Hello, lovely people of the internet. Today I'm gonna try a different approach to drawing and painting with ink. In the last videos I used ink pens for the outlining, and this time I will use a fountain pen, which is my first time since my uni courses that I use one, and cross-hatching instead of creating the shadows with different values and layers of ink. So I bought this fountain pen from the brand Illustrator, which apparently manga artists use a lot. First I tested out the different nibs that came with it, and I think I decided to use the G nib for the whole outlining. It came with 3 nibs, so this was like kind of the middle one and the most flexible one I felt like. I might switch and try other nibs through the process, but just to give them a try and see what their actual purpose is. As I haven't used a fountain pen since like about 10 years, I really had to I have to get used to them again and just trust myself and the knowledge and the process that I will eventually get used to it again. It was actually a very different experience compared to the ink liners I usually use and which I am used to. So the first thing I noticed is that the fountain pen nib is not as flexible and at the same time more flexible than the ink pen. It's really hard to explain, and of course you have to load the nib with ink again after a while of drawing. The second thing, which was a nice experience, is that you can draw different thicknesses and variations of lines when you practice a bit. Not that I'm like such a pro in that, but I noticed that, and I know that from other artists that prefer to use the fountain pens, but you have to practice. So this is pretty different than with ink pens, where I have to go over a certain stroke several times to increase the line weight. There might be people who manage to do it with the ink pens as well, as easily as with the fountain pens, but I'm sadly not one of them, so I can't really do that. Maybe you have experienced this as well, but a horror scenario for an artist while working with ink is the thought that ink might drop onto your paper, which happened. Luckily it was just a small amount, but it was in an area that was supposed to be pure white, so I was a little disappointed, and yeah. So I tried to tap on it with a piece of paper and to delete it from the page, but it didn't really work. I know you can like go over it with white paint or white marker, but the thing is you will always see that there is black ink beneath it, and I think it just don't look that good, or it doesn't look that good. When you scan it in, you can obviously delete it or clean it up on PC, but when you have the original piece, I much prefer to, I don't know, have the mistake on the page like and try to act as it was on purpose, but yeah, of course everyone knows it wasn't, but I think it doesn't look that good when you go over it with my white paint, so I left it there. The cross-hatching was actually pretty simple, although I didn't start with it yet. I didn't want to go too far with it, and I did some simple one-line hatching on her blouse and the creases of the pumpkin and her face, and then some cross-hatching on the parts where I wanted it to be darker and more prominent, like around her eyes. I'm in no means a professional when it comes to hatching, because I didn't do it for a long time, also since my studies, but I would suggest really try on a different paper what you want to hatch, or like how the lines should look for you before you try it on your actual paper. And I also like to, I don't know when this started, I think that's a habit from my unis as well. I like to surround the areas that I hatched with a circle or with a line. I don't know why I do that, but sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. But that's just traditional art, and you can't just turn back time. So at this point in the process, you might be actually wondering what the purpose of this painting is or what it means. The truth is, I don't really know. I started this painting in November, or this illustration in November, when I first realized that I accidentally missed spooky season, which never happened to me because I love spooky stuff and creepy stuff, and I really like to portray that in my art. So I accidentally missed it, and I just drew cute autumnal stuff the whole of October. So of course I couldn't let this happen, and so I decided to make this art piece, and here we are. There is not really a deeper meaning behind this artwork. I just wanted to make something easy and relaxing, and I also wanted to try the new fountain pen I got for myself. So you probably noticed that I'm stumbling a lot over my work, and I think sometimes what I say doesn't make any sense, but that's just because I didn't record for a very long time, and then it feels like I have to learn English and recording just all over again. So from the beginning, feels like I didn't do anything in the past, and I have to learn everything anew. So please keep that in mind and don't be too annoyed at my stumbling over my words and my just not professional speech in this video, as I'm not a native English speaker as well. So at this point in time, I think I had just finished playing Dishonored 2 and was totally in the vibe for some Victorian stuff, which I actually always am because I love this period. So maybe you're wondering, what is she actually doing there? I don't see anything. I actually painted with, or I put clear water on the page or on her top, and then I went back with the black ink, and that creates like a more organic structure on the paper, and it doesn't look like I just painted it on, because the water can, or the ink can do its magic and just flow freely and go wherever it wants. So I think that creates a lot of nice effects. With painting the frame, I wanted to use my cautious salt technique again, but unfortunately I really hated it. So I tried it, and I painted it first like with the top. So I went in with clear water or like diluted ink, and then went over it with black ink, which looked really nice. And then I destroyed the whole thing with putting salt on there. But well, that's just the thing with traditional art. You can't really press Ctrl Z or Ctrl Z and then it magically disappears, unfortunately. So the salt actually took off the whole ink of the frame and just left some black salt stains on the paper. And then I tried to cover it again with ink, but in the end you can still see the dots through, which is a little bit unfortunate, but well, that's just how it is, and I tried my best to cover it again. But yeah, you could just also say that it was on purpose and we won't talk about it again. Or we don't talk about it ever again, because you never know who brings it up. So here you see the salt. I just use regular like cautious salt from the store, and I don't buy anything fancy. I just use this as well for my salt shaker, or my salt, how's it called? Salt milk, maybe. I don't really know. So I painted her eyebrows as well. I contemplated if I wanted them to be white as her one hair strand, but then I thought it would look more expressional with darker eyebrows. So I did this, and I really love to paint eyeshadows under the eyes or eye bags. I think that looks nice, so I did that. As you can see here, I tried to cover up the frame again because the salt just took away everything, and yeah, it was, yeah, I don't know, I did it just for nothing, and then I had to do the whole thing again. And then I thought about, I don't want this to be monochromatic, and I have a pumpkin there, so I thought I could as well combine this with some color, as I didn't want to use my trusty blood red ink again, and I don't have an orange ink yet. I decided to go with orange watercolor for the pumpkin and the painting in the back. Anyway, if you know what the purpose of colored ink is, please let me know, because I'm not really sure about why should I use colored ink when I can use watercolor. So please tell me. I know like the texture is a little bit different. My red ink is very shiny, and you can't, yeah, well, you can layer it and you can dilute it, but other than that, I don't really know a difference. And yeah, I decided to go for orange watercolor for the pumpkin and the painting in the back. Some might confuse the splash in the back with blood splatters, but lucky enough, I can assure you that blood is not orange. I really have to contemplate about how far I can go with my art and not make it too gory and bloody, or otherwise I may be banned on social media. I don't actually know. As I had my interview for my master's studies, one person in the jury asked me why I always paint dark stuff, which I don't really know how to answer, because for me the answer is pretty obvious. Why would you treat a certain subject in your art? Clearly just because you like it. So the answer would always be I like it. Well, I digress. For the blob in the background, or the paint splash in the background, I just used clean water again to paint around her head, and then let the watercolor flow inside of the borders I created with the water shape. Then I tried to use the cautious salt again, and this time it resulted in a shape with a little more subtlety, and I really like how the pumpkin came out. I really enjoy the splashes there. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I think it's coming to an end now. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. That helps a lot if you did. You could also consider subscribing by hitting the button below, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye guys!